Hi, Randy Fairfield here, Mr. EdTech. I've been hosting a topic on Edmodo around Edmodo and Google integration, and today I'd like to explore the topic of Edmodo and Google Sites. This will be less of a tutorial and more of a reflection on how you might use the two in complementary ways to meet student-centered outcomes. If you hang out with me for very long, you'll quickly find that Edmodo and Google Sites are two of my favorite tools. I love them both because they are so flexible and can be used in a number of different ways in a number of different contexts. It's also for that reason that it can be challenging to figure out how you want to use these tools. Before you really get into any EdTech endeavor, you've got to decide what outcomes you're trying to achieve and then find the right tool that will meet those outcomes. If you do that first, you won't feel like you're trying to hit a square peg through a round hole. And so today I'd like to really reflect on what Edmodo is great at doing and what Google Sites is great at doing, and then how you might use those together to achieve some great things. So what are the things that Edmodo is really great at? Well, for me, it was the primary hub that brought everything in my class together. I used it to enhance a traditional classroom, to facilitate project-based learning, to deliver flipped and blended instruction, also to facilitate some professional development. The thing that I loved about Edmodo was the social aspect of it, and I felt like Edmodo really does a great job of facilitating social learning. So it was a place that really housed a lot of my content, but also was a place that facilitated collaboration. I think that's the strength of Edmodo. So when you think about the way I just described Edmodo, you could use Google Sites to do some of those things that I described, but it just wouldn't really be nearly as effective. And in reverse, there's some things that you can do with Google Sites that you could also do with Edmodo. It's just that maybe it's best to do it with Google Sites and have the two complement each other with their strengths. The thing that I loved about Google Sites is I could put things out there public on the web for parents and students to find. And so for me, I used Google Sites as a class website that would really help when a new student would come in that wasn't as familiar with Edmodo. Rather than putting my course syllabus, for example, in the folder like you could do in Edmodo, I would put my course syllabus up on a Google site, and I would also have a number of tutorial videos about how to use Edmodo up there on Google Sites. So for myself, on a student's first day, I would plug them in with a set of headphones. They'd get on the Google site, they'd watch the tutorials, they'd be ready to join the Edmodo group and then facilitate in that social learning. And that Google site also helped me to get information out there to parents about how I was using Edmodo and how I expected their students to use it as well. So that's for me how I use Google Sites, was as a real introductory public on the web place for me to introduce myself and get a kid going in my class. Besides that use of Google Sites, there's all kinds of other ways that I've used it as well, and you can check that out on my website at mredtech.com, clicking Google for EDU and then going down to Google Sites. And if you look down at this blog on 9 different ways to use Google Sites, these are all ways that I used it over the course of this past school year. You can see that for a number of these, you could use Edmodo to achieve these same things. You might also see you could supplement your use of Edmodo with some of these things. It's really up to you to kind of figure out what tool is going to work for you in what situation. So last year I used Google Sites to publicly display my calendar, and the reason for that was I was using Google Calendar, and just having this one website that a teacher could go to figure out where I was at and how to connect with me was really, really helpful. I also had a website for my club. I did a chess club. And you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe an Edmodo group would have been a more effective way to do this rather than a site, because Edmodo would have gotten at that social aspect. Some of the thing that's nice about having a website is for the parents. So maybe I could have used Google Sites and Edmodo in a complementary way for my chess club. You can aggregate content for a lesson or two. So I used Edmodo to do this when I had my own class, but as a technology instructional coach, if I was supporting a teacher that wasn't ready to jump into Edmodo yet, I could use Google Sites and have just a quick one-page thing for the class to go to that would have, Google Apps for Education content on it. I guess I hope the main thing that you just got out of this video is that my state of open reflection about how I'm using the tools that I'm using and am I using them in the best way is one that you need to constantly be in to refine your practice and be the best that you can be. And just because I've made this video and started thinking about it, I'm probably now going to have an Edmodo group to supplement the chess club website that I'm using with Google Sites. So I hope, that you start to think about your use of your tools in the same way, and really collaborating with other educators and thinking out loud can help stretch your imagination as far as how you're using the tools that you're using. If you're looking for more tutorials on how to use Google Sites, I've got a number of things up on my website, like how to embed a Google Calendar or embed different Google Docs, slides, forms, and sheets into your site, and also how to embed a Twitter feed. I might suggest that if you're looking to get into Google Sites, that you wait until the new Google Sites launches. It already has launched in some places, and it's a lot more intuitive to learn than the old Google Sites. So just kind of keep your eye open for that and see if your district is one of those where the new sites is already launched. If you've got some great ideas or reflections on how you can use Edmodo and Google together to facilitate learning and make things great for your students, please share those up on the Edmodo topic. We'd just love to hear your ideas. Have a great day.